Hey guys, Stephen Cox here, and today I thought it might be fun to go into my computer and have me show you how I'm organizing all of this stuff to try to meet this goal and all the different research I've done and all the different thoughts that I've put into it to come up with this goal. And although I still haven't decided the exact path that I want to try to take, I'm kind of just going back and forth between these different ideas. I think this is a really excellent way to set it up if you would like to make a plan to come up with how to make $100,000 or however much money in any regard to your life and all the different ways that you can do it. But this is what I've done for music. So let's jump into my computer. All right, so first we've got this spreadsheet. So this is my ways to make $100,000 in 2018. It has all these different things that I've thought of, and specifically I'm doing this with music. So my methods are album sales, since I have an album, and Patreon, YouTube, different levels of gigs that pay different amounts, Skype lessons, and I was trying to decide on a price point, so I listed 3 to kind of come up with an idea there. Then TMS lessons, that stands for the music studio. That's where I'm currently teaching. Then licensing, Amazon affiliate, session work, Spotify, cinema licensing if I get lucky enough to land a song or if I spend the time on that one. Writing a hit song. Hey, I got to have some dreams, you know. And then Rock Class 101 where I collaborate with my buddy Andrew. Then we have church performances, BMI Live, and if you don't know about BMI Live, I might get into that in a minute. And then I have random gigs and lessons. Now, the reason that one's on here is because this is just what's actually panning out. This isn't actually what I prefer to do or don't prefer to do. This is just the extra stuff that's going to help me get there in the long run. So what I did over here was, if I was only doing this one thing, how much would it take to make $100,000 with this one method? So for album sales, it would take selling 10,000 albums at $10 a piece, which sounds like a whole bunch, but when you break it down, it's really not that much per day, right? So that would only be 28 sales every day. Now, it's hard to make 28 sales a day, and I decided ultimately that this wasn't the best way for me to do it because I wouldn't really be doing it with music. I'd be doing it as a salesman. So I try to shy away from this one because it's just not super fulfilling for me in itself. While selling CDs and knowing that other people are listening to them, sales alone is not my way to go. So with Patreon, it takes a lot of patrons at the price point that I currently have. Now, with the amount of work that I've put in over the past year, I've only been able to get about 5 patrons. I think the most I've had at one time was 6 at this price point. So to have this gigantic number, 1,667 patrons within this year, is a little bit tricky. And I don't even have 12 months at this point. So all this stuff was what I came up with at the beginning of 2018. And I've kind of just been deciding which combination of paths will work best for me. Okay, so for $200 gigs, simple math here, it would take 500 gigs. $25 of these gigs would be the ideal amount that I'd like to do, and that would result me in $5K rather than trying to do 500 gigs, which would probably kill me. That's more than one in a day every single day. So $300 gigs, it would take 334 gigs, which is also an absurd number, and that's just way too much. I've never done 334 gigs in a year. But $500 gigs, I have played 200 gigs in a year, so that's more realistic. But the hard part here is, how do you get $500 gigs? It would require a really good booking agent, working with a corporate band or a wedding band, and just having like the best booking agent so they could book you literally 2/3 of the year. So to me, that seems like it would be cool, but I'm not quite there yet, and I don't know how to find the booking agent to find $500 gigs. So it's a really cool idea. It is possible. Looking at that one's the first one that seems really possible. I mean, honestly, the album sales, 28 a day, that wouldn't be impossible. and the patrons. Had I started earlier and had I had more value up front, maybe that would be possible too, and maybe one day I can get to that point. I skipped over YouTube. Videos that perform like my best video on my other YouTube channel. So basically when I was monetized, that other video, I guess it made me about $100, or I projected that it would make me about $100 over a year of being monetized. I since lost monetization, so it's made it a little tougher. But it would take 1,000 videos making $100 a piece over the course of the year to be 100,000. Pretty simple math. And so my goal is maybe 1,000's too many, but maybe I could do 100. We'll see. Okay, so let's keep going. This is going to be a long video if we don't. So the current place that I teach lessons, but at that current rate, it would take 3,703 hours, which is about 71 hours a week every week. Now, it's just not possible to get enough students to do that. So while this might be a piece of the income, this cannot be the whole thing on its own. So then I turned to licensing. I thought licensing might be a really cool thing to do, and that's licensing music for TV, video games, movies, just all sorts of stuff like that. So if I was able to get $5,000 placements, it would only take 20 of them. Now, $5,000 placements are kind of hard to get, and it's very competitive there, so I probably wouldn't be able to do that, but it's just fun to think about. So I thought a more realistic idea is to get $25 placements or $50 placements, or somewhere between 25 and 200. And in that range, it takes a lot of placements, but I feel like it's more possible with all the different TV shows that are out there, all the different people that need music for a whole bunch of stuff. So although I haven't broken into licensing yet, I've just been dabbling with it a little bit, it's still pretty cool that you could do $25 placements, get 4,000 of them because your songs are just that awesome, and then you could make it that way. So I'm being like, maybe I could just get a couple of them, and that would be kind of cool, but not really plausible. Okay, so Amazon affiliate. This is where you send people over to Amazon via a link that Amazon will give you, excuse me, and then they can decide if they want to purchase the item, and if they do, you get a small commission of the item. So my commission is somewhere around 5%, and so if I got 5% of $100 items, that would be $5 per item. I would have to sell 20,000 items. But I've sold a few that were 400, so it would take a little bit less that way because the amount of money that I'm making on the commission would be higher. So of $400 sales, I only need to make 5,000 sales. This isn't going to get me there, but it's made me a few hundred extra this year, so not a whole bunch, but it's been kind of fun anyway. So session work is a very, very, very viable option when you look at it. 1,000 songs at $100. So $100 is a pretty decent going rate if you're doing really well on sessions. So 1,000 songs, well, that's just like, 3 a day, and you have a month off. So the hardest part here is finding people that need a lot of work from you. If you can find enough people that do it to where you could do 3 a day, maybe by selling projects like, hey, you want to record your 12-song CD? Well, I'll give you a slight cut, and it'll cost $1,000, so you're getting under $100 a song. And then, you can get bulks of songs that way, and you can probably knock them out in a day if you spend all day doing them and get the best sound possible. Spotify I put on here is kind of a joke. You'd have to get 17 million plays to make $100,000 according to what they're paying me now. Now, this might be that CD Baby's taking out a chunk, but still, that's a lot. Okay, cinema licensing and some other cool stuff at the bottom of the list. I skipped over Skype lessons. Let's backtrack back to Skype lessons. So if I charged $40 an hour, this was me trying to figure out the pricing for Skype. If I charged $40 an hour, I could do this many hours, and that would be 48 hours every week, which is a whole ton, right? If I charged $50 an hour, then that would be 40 hours a week. That would be your 9 to 5. So if you wanted to do a 9 to 5 type of job with music, you could teach Skype lessons or private lessons for $50 an hour. Pretty cool. But because I have some clout because of my friend's website that does ukulele lessons and other things, I feel like I can charge 60 and that's actually fair for the amount of value I provide. So if I do $60 an hour, it would take this many hours in a year, which comes out to 35 a week with 4 weeks off. So that is the most plausible thing on this whole entire list, which is why I feel like I've been stupid for waiting to do Skype. I believe now it's time. So that's the one I'm probably going to spend some time on. However, it's not the way that I want to make all the money. And since I've already made money other ways for part of the year, I don't have to do it quite the same way that I would because I have other income coming in. All right, so that's pretty much everything. I think I put some other things on here that were just kind of fun. Write a hit song. Then when I collaborate with Andrew on Rock Class 101, I came up with this number, but don't look too far into that. That's just a figure that I was getting paid. And then I put church performances. Obviously, you can't do 1,000 church performances in a year when you just do 1 a week or 2 a week. So that's not really a plausible way to do it, but it's a nice little subsidy for the rest of it. It helps subsidize the rest. So I put Lyft on the bottom here, but I really want to do this without having to do things other than music. So that's just there as kind of like a sort of backup plan, and I've only done a couple of Lyft rides, and I'm not counting that towards my income. So that's a realistic thing. It would take a whole bunch of riding Lyft if you decided to do that on its own. So after I came up with all of these different things, I decided I needed to rank them on the one that I wanted to do the most. And I need to redo this ranking because I think Skype is going to move up. Notice I had it as most important, fulfilling. I had Skype as number 10. Well, now I feel like that one's going to be way better, and I think it is fulfilling because I've taught a few Skype lessons now, and I was able to teach a U-based student, so I was teaching stuff that I really wanted to teach and really loved. So I'm going to push this one a little bit more. I think the two most viable ways from this are Skype lessons and session work. So I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys on which way you think looks the most plausible just seeing these figures. And I want you to think about this for yourself. And if you're trying to make a large amount of money with music, try to be practical about it if you want to, but don't rule out your dreams. The reason that I put Spotify and cinema licensing and all those other things is because I'm hoping to write a hit song. If I write a hit song, this list is entirely useless because the song will do it on its own. But if I don't happen to do that with the work that I'm putting in, then these are other ways that I can still fund my life and hopefully reach that $100,000 goal. So please let me know what you think about this, and feel free to share it. And please subscribe so you can follow to see how I'm doing following up with all these different ways to make the income. Well, guys, I'll see you tomorrow because I'm doing this once a day. Honestly, if I end up getting enough views on this, then I could monetize this too. Who knows what'll happen in the future. Right now, it's just something fun to do, and it's holding me accountable. Because every day that I see this, and every day that I'm working towards these goals, when the next day I have to admit that I didn't do the work that I was supposed to do, then, I feel like I've let myself down. So this is here to motivate me to stay on top of it. So thanks for being a part of this, and please stay tuned for tomorrow's video.